Andy, first thing to address, Middlesbrough in the League Cup draw. Loads of people sitting there waiting for that draw last night. I take it you were the same. How did you feel when you saw that name pop out of the hat?
Yeah, the draw was delayed a little bit, wasn't it? Kept everyone hanging on, but yeah, it's a fantastic achievement. So first and foremost, to get to the stage of the competition we have done, the quarter final, the final eight, and I'm sure Middlesbrough are looking at exactly the same way we are, that we're the two lowest ranked teams left in the competition. We get drawn together. We're at home. It gives us a fantastic opportunity, the best chance we probably would have got to progress even further, and that's the way we're looking at it. Middlesbrough have currently hit a great run of form. A fantastic club, obviously had history in the Premier League, and have got a really good group of players and a young manager who's obviously played at the top level. But yeah, it's a game we'll look forward to. It's a few weeks away now, maybe 6-7 weeks away, but it's a reward for everyone connected with the football club, for the players who've played throughout the 4 rounds. We've had different teams out there, and yeah, it was a fantastic night on Tuesday night. I think that the supporters really enjoyed the evening. That the atmosphere at the game was fantastic, and it was good to see the celebrations with the supporters behind the goal after the game.
Inevitably, though, people will go, "Oh, we wanted a Chelsea, we wanted a Newcastle, we wanted a Liverpool or somebody." From the manager's point of view, how do you look at stuff like that? Because there's the romanticism of the cup, and then there's also the chance to look at it and go, right, well, it's the second lowest ranked team in the competition after us. It's a championship side. They're only one level above us. Does that come into it from a manager's perspective as opposed to what a fan might think, do you reckon?
Well, I think when you enter the competition right in the first round as a League One club, do you expect to get to the quarter final? Probably not. And the history of the club, so we've never got here before. But as we've progressed, and we had the home draws, and then we got drawn away against the lowest ranked team left in the competition again. But us playing Middlesbrough at home gives us an opportunity. We'll have to play really, really well. It's the best team we've played in the competition so far. We'll have to play really well. If they have an off day, it gives us an opportunity, and that's all you want when you get to this stage. So we do keep talking about the reward for getting through might be a Premier League team. As I said to the lads this morning, the reward for getting through will be a Premier League team, but it's a really difficult game for us, but it's a game we'll really look forward to.
It's good that it gives the club some exposure as well, doesn't it? Because you've seen TV companies have been interested. Yeah. You winning on Tuesday night ends up on TV and such as well. So from the club's profile perspective, it's done them a lot of good to get this far.
Of course, and you look at all the press from it, and it's League One Port Vale have got to the quarter final, and that's what we are, and that's what we have to remember. Do we want to progress? Of course we do. We want to get further up the ladder, further up the food chain, but we are a League One football club, and we now get the chance to test ourselves against a Championship team who are 10th in the table, who've been on a really good current run of form. But that game is 6-7 weeks away.
Let's just talk about James Plant for a sec, because obviously he signed a new contract today. We all know how highly valued he is at the football club. A 4-year deal takes him through to 2027 at least. Just talk to us about the rationale behind the decision, what you've perhaps seen in him over the course of this season that's made you go, right, now is the right time to do that for him.
It's a reward for what he's done since he's had an opportunity in the first team after making his debut at Ipswich last season. It's looking at the long-term picture to security for the football club, security for James as well, and giving him a platform where he currently is, but we think there's much more in him. We have to remember he's 18-year-old. He's a first-year pro in reality, but he's a humble young man. He's a hard-working young man. He wants to take on information and improve. And as long as he keeps doing that, he's got some fantastic role models within our football club to look up to and learn from. And we're delighted that he's seen fit to commit his future to the football club.
He's been asked to do a lot of different roles since he's been here. I'm sure you'd love to deploy him in whatever you thought was his best position, but he's had to play in some unfamiliar ones. Has his attitude towards doing that been a big part of it as well? Because some players we know, not necessarily here, but some will kick up a stink about being asked to play out of position. What's his attitude been like, and what's that been like for you?
Well, I told him this morning he's playing in goal on Saturday, and he was quite accepting of that. So, no, listen, he wants to improve, Phil. That's the top and bottom of it. He wants to learn it. He's a sponge. He wants to embrace information any particular way he can. He's got a great family behind him who are keeping his feet on the floor, and just as we're trying to do as well, we are demanding of him. He has got some strengths. There's weaknesses within his game, like any of our players. But so we're trying to help him improve both on and off the pitch. And so as long as he keeps with that focus and that mindset, that he hasn't achieved much yet in the game, there's a lot much more he can achieve, and we'll be there to support him through that.
I know you've talked about him as an example to some of the other academy lads who are now on the verge of doing what he's done.
Yeah.
Does he see that as well? Does he kind of feel that he's in that position now where he's been an example to some of those lads that there is a path to the first team?
I think he's a bit embarrassed by it sometimes when we do bring him, because that's the type of kid he is. He doesn't want the limelight. He just wants to get on with his work. But the other academy players should look at him as an example, and not for just what he's achieved on the pitch, what he does off the pitch to achieve what he does on the pitch, and that's probably the biggest example of the way he's as a young man and as a young player. That's the example that they have to look at.
Just one other thing on some of the younger lads as well. They've obviously got much more game time this year. How have you seen that little group, apart from James, develop when they've been around you and been around the first team? Particularly, I'm thinking like in the trophy games, or when they've travelled with you to games like Tuesday, where they've all been a part of the first team. How have you seen them develop and maybe improve in that period?
Well, as well as James starting on Tuesday night, obviously Jack, Reese, and Bailey were in the squad, in the 20-man squad. 3 other academy players were in the squad but didn't make the final selection. And what we're trying to do as a football club is create that pathway, reward them for their performances in the academy games. But what we also have to understand is that with any young player, there's going to be inconsistency, because you're not quite sure of your routine off the pitch. You obviously getting a lot of advice, but you have to. It's almost trial and error. So you have to go through that period. But yeah, Reece Walters as an example. He's 17-year-old. He's played five games, I think, in the first team this season, and his performance levels have grown throughout that. Young Jack made his debut last season while he was still at school, and there's obvious talent there. But yeah, we're looking at it from a model within the football club that me as first team manager has to give these young players an opportunity. They have to be good enough, but as I say, we have to support them through the difficult moments as well, of which there are many. But yeah, we're happy that we've got a group of young players now who are starting to grow and develop, and hopefully they'll become first team players of the future.
One that you brought in from outside is Alfie Devine, and his performances over the last couple of games have been rewarded with goals. But just talk to us about his development, because when he first came, people were, this is one of the next big things in English football, has come to Port Vale. We've never really spoke to you about how that really developed and how he's developed while he's been here. So can you kind of lift the lid a little bit on what Alfie's been like since he's been here?
Yeah, as you say, a lot was spoken about him. He got exposure at Tottenham at a young age and scoring in the FA Cup. And when you're a young player, there's a lot of people who are talking about you. And we're delighted that not only Alfie but Tottenham as well trusted us for his first loan, and what we almost sold to them, but what we wanted to try and do and what we could offer to Alfie and to Tottenham, we've put into fruition. I think his performance levels have grown. I think it's not easy coming into a new group. Ollie probably came in at a better time where we'd not gone to Spain, so little things like that we say it takes time to settle in. But now I think his last couple of performances, you can see his impact on the game is starting to grow. He feels more comfortable with the group. We have to again remember he's 19-year-old. He's away from his parent club. He's away from home. So all those challenges that brings as well. But yeah, you can see now that the young lad is starting to evolve and not only feel part of it off the pitch, but also now impacting the game on the pitch.
Do you have to kind of, when players are on their first loan, do you have to kind of nurture them? I won't say out of their shell, but do you have to kind of get them acclimatised to what you're trying to do, but also, like you said, to get the group to bring him in as well and make him feel welcome? How important is that in a young player's development, do you think?
Well, fundamentally, if we've got 20 plus players in that dressing room field, they're all different. We're all unique, aren't we? We've all got our own strengths and weaknesses, and when someone comes into the group, you're trying to understand them about what their makeup is, what they're like on and off the pitch, and that takes time. and it also takes them time for them to get to know the teammates as well, and where they sit in, where they fit in within the group. And it's saying that he's now probably finding his feet. He's been in now a couple of months. He's obviously had a few periods where he's gone away with England, so that's impacted that. But yeah, I see the lad now almost opening up a little bit and feeling a little bit freer within the group.
Quick update on injuries. We know about Kofi and Mitch and James Wilson. Where are Alex Iacovitti, Dan Jones, that type? Where are they up to at the minute, can you say?
Alex and Dan, early stages back on the grass on the training pitch. So yeah, they're progressing. Kofi and Mitch we've obviously spoken about. And then probably the guys then in the middle of that group, Connor and Willow, a little bit behind Dan and Alex. So they're working well with the medical team. We're trying to progress that as fast as we can. To be without 6 players of the quality of those 6 for the period of time we already have been, it has not been easy and not been simple. But yeah, we'll keep giving other players an opportunity, and we'll hopefully get them back sooner rather than later.
I heard another manager the other week who was, got people moaning about not winning games. He said, I've got 6 players out injured. 6 players have come back for them, not too far down the road. They've started winning games. It does have a big impact, doesn't it, sometimes, because when you are without a big group of players who all keep played in a lot of your games, it can really impact on both your prep and recovery, and also asking some lads who maybe haven't played as much to step in. Is that hard to balance all that?
Well, no manager wants injuries, do they? And we want our biggest pool of players available for selection, because I think when you've got that and you've got real competition Monday to Friday, it impacts on what you're doing. So the level of performance is probably greater, but unfortunately they're part of the game as well, and we have to get on with that. We can't use that as an excuse, but say having those players unavailable doesn't help us at all. But as I say, it's important we try and get them back as quickly as possible and safely, so that there's no chance of a reoccurrence of injury. But what they are doing, all of the players, whether they're injured or not being selected, is trying to play a part in the preparation for games and being a really good supporting teammate as well.
Very last thing, because we are here for the FA Cup after all, and it's your first taste of the competition in that managerial role, but against a team you've already played this season in Burton Albion. What are you expecting from that? A similar type of game?
Possibly, yeah. I think the way they approached the game here, they got themselves in front. There was certain things within that game that we'll have to do a hell of a lot better than we did in that game. And the basics of the game of competing and winning duels and winning first contacts and defending set plays, we're going to have to do that very, very well. From an attacking point of view, we scored 2 goals on night. I think we had 20 shots, and their keeper played very well. But yeah, we're going to have to defend our box really well. And so since they beat us, they went on a really good run. I think they find themselves now in the top half of the table, and we actually bumped into them last night because obviously the U team played Burton last night, so we went to watch the game and saw Dino and his staff and some of the players. So yeah, but it's the first round of the FA Cup. It's a great day in English football. It's a game for us to look forward to, and it's a game we want to progress into. We want to get into the second round, and we want to get into the third round where there might be a big draw.